Welcome to another episode of Building Brilliance Book Club. I'm your host, Brian Wilson. This episode is called Fathers on Fire. We had an opportunity here with the upcoming 2026 Father's Day to sit and have a conversation, a candid conversation with four fathers. These are men of varying ages that I've known for many years and have become very good friends with. I've invited them down with me to have an open conversation about fatherhood and what fatherhood means to me and to us as a general, to get a fuller understanding and idea of how Father's Day has changed over the years. I'll introduce my guests and then we'll go with the questions from there. I have with me Derek Jackson, I have Lamont Lilly, I have David Thomas, and I have Lincoln Wilkes. Gentlemen, thank you for being here with me today for this special episode of Building Brilliance Book Club. So I want to get right into it. First of all, I just want to go right at it. What does Father's Day mean to you personally, and how has your perspective on it evolved over time? So let's not all rush to answer these questions. So we're going to start one at a time. We're going to go left to right to start, and then I'll run it back the other way.
I know we go oldest to youngest.
We're going to go oldest to youngest?
I think that.
I guess you're raising your hand for the...
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the oldest.
Okay, David.
So I want to add some interesting perspective to the evolution part.
Okay.
Because when I was a boy, Father's Day wasn't a holiday. And so I can remember distinctly celebrating Mother's Day, but there was no Father's Day to celebrate. Okay. Also, my mother died when I was a child, and usually mothers are the ones that teach you how to do things. So there was no mom around. Even after Father's Day was put in place by Nixon in '72, we still didn't celebrate. Mom wasn't there. We didn't celebrate Father's Day. So I really didn't start celebrating Father's Day until I became a father. So that's part of my evolution. I think another part of my evolution was as the kids were celebrating Father's Day for me, I wanted to be a father that was worthy of that honor. So every year I reevaluated my worth to be honored in that way.
That's interesting. I never looked at Father's Day at all. I was celebrating my mother on Father's Day. I don't know. I didn't have the right mindset.
Well, we'll go back to single parent moms too. There's a lot of that as well. You have to realize that some people didn't have that father figure to honor. Me personally, even though I had my father in the home, Father's Day wasn't something we really celebrated. It wasn't, it's never been the holiday that Mother's Day is. Meaning that, it was Father's Day. I guess we'll give your dad a tie or a pair of socks he doesn't want. And maybe mom might kiss him today. Who knows? But there was no big to-do as there is with Mother's Day. In my opinion, men do so much more, not more. It's a team effort as far as the relationship goes, but men are providers, real men providers, and we protect and do so many things. We're not celebrated for it. It's more like it's expected. So
What you're supposed to do.
yes, what you're supposed to do.
So you shouldn't be getting celebrated for something that you was already supposed to be doing anyway.
And I feel that we should be celebrated for the things that we do, for the
things
ones
that
that
we
do
do.
the right thing, of course, but we don't get that. So I don't feel like we get what the honor we deserve on that one of 2 days a year we get.
One
as
of
you
2
mentioned
days.
earlier, our birthday and Father's Day.
Derek?
I have to agree with my counterparts here. Father's Day was also something that was not celebrated in my home as well. So I have to agree with the gentleman here.
And how has your perspective changed on it since becoming a father?
Again, really good question. So I certainly value fatherhood, but even still, as mentioned, it's not highly celebrated.
Yeah, that's different. That's why that's the purpose of this, because to bring light to an underserved topic. That's why we're having this conversation. Talk to me, Lincoln.
Yeah.
As the newest father.
Yeah, I'm a new father. I have a daughter. She's 3. She'll be 4 in November. But being a new father, I think we're talking, as you were mentioned earlier, we have to make it our own. Like, my perspective is you have to make it your own. No one's really going to celebrate it, coming up and seeing that. We try to do the best that me and my siblings do the best we can to celebrate our father. But me now being a father, it's like, I'm not gonna, I have to make it my own. I have to, I take my daughter, on Father's Day, we enjoy the day together. So, I look at her, I see, looking at her from when she was a baby to a toddler, now to a growing young lady. So it's like, I appreciate, so I have a level of appreciation for watching her grow, and then now being able to take or participate in Father's Day. So, and just make it your own. I just try to make it my own.
So let me ask you, because like you say, like we said, you're the newest of the fathers. How did you view Father's Day before you became a father?
I value Father's Day because my dad, he's always been influential in my life. So for Father's Day, it was an opportunity, always an opportunity, just like Mother's Day, to be able to celebrate him and what he's done. He's done a lot for me and my sisters. So, we always try to, have an untraditional, gift, no socks and ties.
Yeah.
When we're coming up, that's all we know, right?
Yep.
Coming up as kids, we didn't really know, to get them a different gift.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it was always, hey, what do we get our dads? A tie and socks for whatever reason. That's what it was. But as we got older, I understood there's other means of celebrating him, like washing his car, or even taking him out to dinner, taking him out for a drink, getting a cigar with him, going to visit. He lives in Maryland, so traveling out there, and he's very, I just want to be around my kids. So it's like spending time with him and having a cigar with him and just, cooking on the grill. So we try to do different things and find out what he likes and, just focus on that.
Here's my next question for you, gentlemen. How do you navigate and challenge stereotypes about Black fatherhood, both within your family and within society at large?
Navigate. That's the interesting word. How do we navigate it? For me, I just try not to be that stereotype. I just think I'm not that stereotype as far as navigating. And I try to
You break it, you bought it.
Huh?
You break it, you bought it.
Hey man, it's your office. I know the owner, so I'm cool. I tried as a father to be the best father I could be. I ended up being a single father for several years. And as far as changing stereotype, all the kids on my block, Walton Avenue, my first house, they all congregated to my house. I would take them to Great Adventure. I would take them to church with me. I would do things with the kids because there were no other fathers there. And they respect me for that to this day. So when you say navigate it, not that there was a guidebook or any instruction on how to do it.
Right.
I just did the best I could with what I had to try and pour that into the next generation because they didn't have fathers. And as far as, the stereotypes, they exist because the family is broken, period. There are not a lot of men in homes. That's Black and white. That's not just us, but men are not prevalent in the house the way they used to be. So how do you celebrate something that you don't see?
That you don't see. That was the challenge that I had. So I was a stepdad before I was an actual dad. Not having a dad around, like most of I didn't meet my dad till I was 30. And I met him because I found him in the white pages. So, and I established that relationship until he died. I was there with him, holding his hand when he passed. So I didn't have any basis for what a father was, what a father was supposed to be, what a father was supposed to do. I kind of just jumped in and it was baptism by fire for me. I had to figure what fatherhood was supposed to be like, but I only figured out what it was supposed to be like based on the absence of what I didn't have. Do you know what I mean? So I was filling in the blanks of fatherhood.
For clarity, can you define what is meant by stereotypes in regards to this conversation?
So the one stereotype that I knew growing up was Papa was a Rolling Stone. That was the only song that I knew that related to Father's Day. And when I learned the words to the song, I thought that that's what Father's Day was supposed to be in my mind, because that's the song they played every Father's Day was Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Wow.
So my perception was based off of this song about what dads were supposed to be. I said, I guess that's what they're supposed to do because mine ain't around, so it fits the song.
To your point with that song, being younger, as I mentioned earlier, I took that song and put it on my phone when my dad would call. It didn't last long because I thought it was a song.
I really thought
I didn't know.
I didn't have a clue.
Yeah,
I really didn't until you listened to the words.
Yeah, and he was like, "No, take that off. Take that off." I'm like, "Do you know what that song is?" I'm like, "No." I listened to it. I'm like,
really didn't know.
Yeah.
Really didn't know. All we heard was doom, doom, doom. Yeah, that's what we knew.
Right? One of the reasons why we call stereotypes is because the situation is misunderstood. And the CDC did a study on the family. A lot of people do studies on family. And but in preparation, I started doing some research. So I think it was in the early 2000s, the CDC did a study to see what men do in terms of fatherhood. And what they found out is that we actually lead when it comes to the father being present. So we spend more time with the kids than any other male group in our society. Now, we do have some real hardships when it comes to always being there. We have economic hardships that the other populations don't experience. We have incarceration rates that our community experiences that the other communities don't. So we have some hardships that come along with being Black in America. But when it comes to being a father in America, most Black men in America want to be a good dad and demonstrate it, if not on a daily basis because they are home. But if they're not home, that man is still doing something, because a lot of Black American men, they love their kids, even though they may not be living with them. So the research does show that. But I think what happens in our society is there are other forces that want to maintain the myth that the Black man is always absent, which is not true.
I believe that.
Well,
Eric, what's your thoughts?
No, I was going to say
Okay.
also from experience with some of my grandchildren, the mothers sometimes make it difficult for the man to be in the children's life for whatever reason, whether it's a breakup, cheating, or whatever went on. They create barricades between the men and their children, and it makes it very difficult. And you know, if you're not strong enough, you'll give up.
You're crazy.
You know, you're doing right, paying child support and everything, and they still don't want to see your kids. Or you got a new wife or whatever.
Out.
So yeah,
you really can crash out.
Yeah, there's some other things that there are a lot of different pieces to this thing. You know,
Talk to me there.
As I listen to some of my counterparts, not necessarily at the table here, I'm just fortunate to have grown up in a home where dad was there. So a lot of the conversations, a lot of things that are being said and distributed in the community, I'm gonna say the media, I was fortunate to not have to experience those issues, which is why I asked to bring clarity to what is meant by stereotypes.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting.
Right.
So you have a whole different perspective
Yes.
of fatherhood in relation to your own upbringing and your own children.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad was in the home too. My parents were married for 66 years.
Okay.
My dad was a pain in my behind, but
Okay. I hear that.
Whether he fussed, complained, beat me, or did whatever he did, he was there.
He was present.
Every day.
I got another question for you. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what lessons or values did you learn from your own father or father figures? And how do you hope to pass that on to the next generation? I'm going to start down here with the long existing father in the house, man.
I'm going to say there's no substitute for hard work. My dad was there, but he wasn't there. I'm going to explain that. Because that sounds like an oxymoron. He worked a 2 to 10 shift at Greater Prison. So when I woke up, he sleep from the night before. When I'm asleep, he's not even home yet. Because again, I'm going to school the next day. So then we had our weekends. Weekends was, fortunately for us, fun time. And that's why when people see my videos and see me out with my voice, I have to make a big deal about it. We're going to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
We're going to enjoy this gift of life because guess what? As we've talked about it already, tomorrow ain't promised to none of us.
No.
So we're going to work hard. As mentioned, we're going to be good providers, but we're also going to enjoy the day. We're going to enjoy the fruits of our labor.
That's very true. I just lost a brother, Jerry Fulton, that was killed in Germantown, that was shot over a parking space. He's one of my large brothers.
That's right on news.
Yeah. So you're right. Tomorrow is not, and he's a father of 7. So no, you're right. Tomorrow is not promised. But please continue.
No, it was just I'm gonna share the mic. But again, sometimes we've seen today that the new generation, they want to be lazy. They want to do this.
Yeah.
They want to play the game.
Yes.
They're not trying to improve. They're not reading books. We're here now because of your book club. They're not trying to better themselves. And I'm fortunate to grow up in a time period where we had a disciplinarian in the home. And there were things that was taught and instructed that just was not going to be allowed. We couldn't sit at the dinner table with headphones. You know, there were things that it was just not tolerated that I see is tolerated today. Or shall I say accepted?
Accepted. Lamont, talk to me. What'd you learn?
My dad, similar to what Derek said. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, Derek.
No, it's all good.
Derek and Derek.
Derek and Derek.
Yeah.
D. All right. My father showed me work ethic. You know, he went to work every day. He taught me how to work on cars, taught me how to do carpentry. And as a child, they say, you know, foolishness is in the heart of a child, is what they say. You have to teach your children and guide them, or else they'll be foolish their whole lives. So I had to work on cars. I had to do carpentry. I had to help paint. On Saturday morning, you going to get up and cut that grass. It wasn't no, I don't want to. You was going to do it, or you going to get your beating. That's what we got back in the day, you know? And he made me go to work with this old man, George Moore, cutting wood on Saturdays in the summertime. I didn't want to do that. You work all day and get $6. So, well, you want that hamburger, didn't you, boy? So you learn that
$6.
Yeah, you learn how to work. You learn how to save a little bit of your money. But the main thing, he didn't just tell me what to do. I watched him do it. I watched him get up and go to work.
Big difference.
Sneezing and coughing and leg hurt or whatever, he limping, but he's still going to work. And he taught me work ethic, and he taught me that there are consequences in life for things. You know? If I cussed at my grandma, him and my uncles were probably going to beat me down. There was no, you know, if you do certain things, this is what you get. Nowadays, I think that children do a lot of things and there aren't any consequences. Whereas the father used to step in and be able to be a disciplinarian or provide correction. Now they crucify you if you spank your child or if you say harsh words to them.
Yeah.
So I learned those things. I think one of the things that we're addressing here is how can we move that forward in today's society as far as we've gone with discipline and accountability. Because kids now aren't accountable for anything. Everything is somebody else's fault.
Everything is somebody else's fault.
And my father, because we're talking about what I learned, the lesson I learned was you are responsible for you and your actions, period. And that, I don't want to be long-winded.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, what I learned, you're accountable.
Because just to add on it, that became the focal point for me with this, because I feel, or from what I've seen, the father present in the home is absent. And if they've erased dads out of the home, then they've also erased the effect that fathers have. Like, I want to go to Lincoln next, because David, you and I have somewhat similar history as far as our relationships with dads. But I don't want to come to you, Lincoln. Talk to me and tell me, what did you learn from your own dad? And how do you hope to pass that on to your child?
Yeah, so honestly, the same thing.
Lamont, San for the son.
More sought than taught. So my dad always taught me that, you know, by just watching him, right? One thing I know, my dad's always going to be there. You know, he's always like, if I needed anything, you know, I know that I can always pick up the phone and call. Coming up, you know, knowing that I could always rely on him, but he was always about taking care of business. You know, like he told me, you know, no one misses you in the morning, right? What that means is, you know, while everyone's sleeping, you know, you're up, while me, my sisters and I and my mom, while we're sleeping, you know, and in the bed, you know, he's up, you know, either cutting the grass, washing the cars, going to the store, getting, you know, whatever groceries, whatever needs to get done. He's getting that done, laundry, whatever he needs. He would wake up in the morning while everyone's sleeping and get that done, walk the dog, whatever. So, you know, being able to manage that time, right, for being there for his kids. You know, when we had graduation, we had events, he was always there to take us. My mom, of course, too, but, you know, as my dad, like, I knew that he was always there. It was never like, you know, I'm working late. You know, he worked in financial services for a majority of his career. So he was always, you know, at work, but he was always at home too. So, you know, I hope I'm making sense to where,
Yes. So no.
yeah, he's there's support, but he's also getting work done. So when I look at my daughter, you know, I try to be there always, right? Something happens at school, you know, the school knows that I'm gonna come up to that school. It doesn't matter what time of the day I'm there. I try to, you know, stay close to her school. If her mother, you know, is something going on, you know, she's not listening. Her mother's calling me. You know what I mean? FaceTiming me, because she knows that I have no problem going over there to have a conversation with her about being right, because I'm always going to be there, right or wrong. I'm always going to be there. So I try to do that for my daughter, try to just take care of her and try to make sure that she knows growing up that daddy was always there for her, taking care of her. You know, I'm going to be there.
Okay. So David, talk to me.
All right. So I want to say a few things tying into Lamont. Now, I love quotes. Okay, so I managed to capture a couple quotable quotes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lay some of these on you real quick.
Okay.
So Frederick Douglass said, "It's easier to build strong children than repair broken men." So
Wow.
tying into what Lamont is talking about, this is a value that I think we're losing in our society. And I think Black men need to get a grip better because of all of the obstacles that are already systematically built into our society.
Mm-hmm.
So what Frederick Douglass is saying here, I mean, it's no different in terms of what he was going through. The same racism that was existing then, that racism is still here today. And I think what we need to get a grip on is that we need, as fathers, to work in such a way that we're building our children up in their lives, because that's the time when that building can be done.
Yes.
So if that child enters their life as an adult broken, then they're going to live with that brokenness probably for the rest of their lives. Then another one, here's Booker T. Washington. The character of a child is built by the daily examples shown by the parents, especially the father who faces the public world. Okay, so tying it with what my brother was saying here. So the wisdom that we need as a community, we already have it. But I think what we got to do is we got to tap back into it. Okay. So and so in terms of values that I've gained along the way, I think that if we can do our job as a father in such a way that it makes our kids easier to honor us, it makes it better on them. So my daughter loves Father's Day. I mean, she's a daddy's girl. So
Yeah, mine too.
and what she's typically going to do is she's going to cook me dinner. She's going to prepare a meal especially for her dad, and she's been doing it for I don't even know how long now.
Nice.
But, I mean, I know it's going to happen.
Nice.
And it's a meal that's prepared just for me. Okay, now the rest of the family is there, but while she's cooking, she's thinking about dad. What does dad want? What is dad going to enjoy most? And that's one way that she honors me on that day. Of course, everybody else rallies around that whole thing. But being the kind of dad that's present, being the kind of dad that you could count on, those are the things that are going to help.
So this was an interesting question for me, and that's why I saved you and I for the last pieces of this. So for me, I did not have any real established, consistent, dedicated father figure around. I had this relative's boyfriend, that relative's boyfriend. I had this uncle who lived in 2 states away. I had this cousin, male father, who lived a couple of states away. I didn't have any of that, right? And then I had my friends. Honestly, I said, for years, I said Furious was my dad from Boys in the Hood. Because in my mind, Furious was the role model TV dad. Between him and the guy from Good Times. James Evans. Those are my images. So when I met my dad before my daughter was born. And I played this fill in the blanks. So my mindset when my daughter was born was to do and be everything that I thought my dad was supposed to have been to me had he been in the picture for the first 30 years. So I was at every doctor's appointment. I missed one, still to this day, I'm still mad about. I went to every graduation, every sporting event, every play, every award, every whatever she had, I was there for. She could not find me. And I made sure that she knew your dad is here. No matter what you think, no matter what's happening outside this world, your dad is present. Now, that was what I thought that a dad was supposed to be. It wasn't until I became a real estate agent and started meeting other dads. And I didn't look at the absence of my dad as a negative. I looked at later in life, I looked at it as a learning experience. So what I did was I was able to take what I had learned from my dad not being around and then looked at where the gaps were and then used my connections with other dads and other fathers to piece together what I thought a dad was supposed to be. So I literally Frankensteined a dad to make a dad for my for my daughter. So my thing was to leave a strong legacy of presence with her. Like, it's funny, she was at the house yesterday and I'm like running around trying to get to your house, trying to get everything together. And I started singing Mission Impossible. So anytime I'm rushed, I'll start dance, 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 dance. So she hears me in the background and she goes, "Is that where I got that from?" I said, "Got what from?" She said, "You always hum Mission Impossible when you rushing." I said, "Yeah, because it's my theme music to be on time." She said, "That's why I do that." She's like, "I didn't know that's why I did that." But she mimicked it from me,
Watching her father.
Yes, watching her father. So it made me feel good that I'm trying to communicate to her, some things that I'm trying to communicate to her. I've been trying to communicate to her since that age is actually taking hold. So that made me feel good.
More salt than talk. They don't even see it.
Yeah.
They don't even see where it comes from, but they internalize it when they hear it. She didn't even know.
And she didn't even know.
She makes faces I make.
I know.
Don't even know where it comes from.
They say my daughter drives like me. We're not going to even.
We're not going to touch
We're not even going to touch that. I touched that with telephone pole. I got 2 more questions. How we looking, D?
half hour.
Okay. I got 2 more questions. Okay. What unique joys and challenges have you experienced as a Black father? And how do you find support or community in your role as a Black father?
I'm gonna just say right at the jump that being called dad for the very first time is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that feeling doesn't go away. When I hear my kids say dad, we could be in a crowded room of people and if they say dad, I can hear it. I'm like almost a mile away.
Were
And
you there when your children were born?
yes.
That was one of those feelings for me as well. I didn't mean to jump on you, man.
No, you're
When the baby came out, I was like, I made that. There's a feeling. I made this. That woman over there, we made it. We made this. And that was a great feeling, along with the first time they say dad, or,
yeah.
That's why people video that stuff. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. It was like,
Daddy. You're like,
no,
Is that for me?
It starts before they even can speak.
yeah, it does.
Definitely, because they're just the fact that they're looking at you and they look to you.
I think I
they're
look
great
like-
mimics. That's why you're
Yes. Yes.
So they study your every move.
When your child, the baby, grab your finger for the first time, when they first latch on and they're pulling, wow. It's just a development over time of seeing them come out to growing, to calling you dad, to them becoming teenagers, adults, having children, grandchildren. There's so many instances and so many emotions in that life experience. It's hard to narrow it down to just like 1 or 2 things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's challenging. I asked that question because I wanted to force you to think of a particular, you know what I mean? It's too.
I'm sorry.
So,
Pick one. That's like
Lincoln. Go.
I have 3. One, the proud moment when she first came out and I was able to catch her.
Yep.
Yep. And then the second one is, when she would cry when she was a baby, I would have her lay her on my chest. And like when I came home from work and I got out my clothes and everything, I would grab her and right on the couch, we would just both out, she would fall right to sleep on my chest, even at night on the bed. And the third is when she randomly, and I don't know if this is going to stop, but when she randomly said, "I love you, Daddy," that when I was like, dang.
That grabbed you.
Yeah.
13.
That killed me.
13.
When you turn from daddy to dad.
I don't know. Maybe a little sooner.
Although the girls will do it longer than the boys.
Yeah.
For sure.
Derek.
I would say a proud moment for me is more recent with my oldest boy, with my oldest son especially, because we play basketball. And I've been beating this kid his entire life.
Not anymore. I had that moment.
I watched him on Facebook.
Here's the worst part. When they finally stopped taking their beatings,
I watched him. I crack up every time.
They talk some junk to you, and you don't like it, but
Tough.
you talk junk when you was winning. But youth is going to get you because Father Time is going to get
going to get you. Youth is going to get you.
Go back to your prime. Can't be in your prime though.
So for me, my joy was obvious. Was I was there when my daughter was born. I cut the umbilical cord. I was the bully in the room. The doctor was mad at me. The nurses were mad at me. I was like this. I was there. This is where I was when she was crowning. And the doctor was looking at me like, Mr. Wilson, you're in the way. I said, this just in case you miss. I'm here. And I've been there in my mind. I've been there. But the joy came was when she first, Dad was her first words. And it drove her mother crazy because all she would go is, da, 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 da. She would look at her and be like, you can't say mommy. She would go, da, da, da. So that was the joy for me. I find support in my community. So I'm a Mason. And as a Mason, I'm a part of a program called Adopt a School program. So we've adopted our namesake school, Prince Hall, as our school. So we go to Prince Hall. We have Youth Day. We have Boys to Men Day. We're there for their graduations. We're there for their first day of school. They get to see us present. They get to talk to us and have conversation with us. In that, I get to communicate and share things with kids 9, 10, 11, 12 years old about things that I wish somebody had told me when I was that age, So I'm able to garner all of my past experiences as far as being a dad, watching dads, and then, yes. And then collectively share that information with the next generation of kids coming up. So that's the joy that I experienced being able to transition that knowledge that I've gained. Okay. I got one last question. You good? I got one last question. So how do you hope to shape the narrative around Black fatherhood for your children and for the broader community? And I want to this time start with the new dad and then work my way around.
So, what I've been saying the whole time is making sure that I'm there to teach her. We were in the pool earlier today, and I'm there to teach her how to swim, right? So I'm gonna be there to teach her everything. As she gets older and grows into a young adult, into an adult. There was something that's been on my mind since we were talking about, which it answers your question. So I'm on the board for an organization. It's called All Mentees on Board. And it's a youth mentorship program for young women, right? So there was an orientation, and I just saw how real time, how the founder, her name is Alicia stood in front of the girls and told them, certain things like, don't, come into this program with scarves on your head, with bonnets. When I speak to you, you make sure you answer yes or no. Just be responsive when I ask you questions. Things like that. Just teaching them these things, right? On the flip side, I'm also part of a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and we have a guide write program, and we have a similar program, right? A youth mentorship program, but there was a different connection to where like we're focusing on young men, right? Now I have a different feel of or thought or perspective about how to approach these young men and being direct and saying, being direct, like, if you're going to shake someone's hand, make sure you have a firm grip. If you're going to
Eye contact.
eye contact. If you are, if you're walking through the door, women are coming up behind you, make sure you open the door for them. Things like that, chivalry. And I didn't really understand how to actually relay this information to them until I saw that, which is very simple. But until I saw Alicia, be direct with these young girls and just tell them straight up, because they're looking at her as a figure, right? As a mother figure, right? Just like these young guys are looking at us as father figures in our community that don't have the same
She needs your
opportunity.
attention. It's all right, dog. We all dads here.
Yeah, so there's a different now. I'm approaching this. I've been in the fraternity. Spring, 2015 is when I came into the bond, and I'm 11 years in, and I still didn't really understand how to actually approach the young men. After seeing that. after actually seeing that. So my perspective has changed, going out, coming around this new fraternal year. Now I know how to, I guess, present myself or connect with these young guys.
Nice. We had a program, Con, AKA Time?
Yeah.
Okay. We had a program, we express ourselves, do music for the kids in West Philly. And the question is to add to question, not question, but to further discussion. Someone is my age, I'm 60. I don't know how he is, but he told me I was not at his level of age goes. But for some of my young bucks, it's a little more difficult for me to relate to some of the younger people that he might be able to relate to because he's not as old as me. And the respect, and when you try and teach young people those values, like holding the doors for women, or, walking on the side of the street, or the things that we grew up knowing, they're not important to them. So how do we teach them and also give them the value of what it is we're trying to teach them? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, because to them, they're like, I ain't opening no door for these girls. They go, what yourself?
Yeah.
And then with equal rights and the way they try and make women be men now, it's like, well, I open the door for a lady, and she's like, you don't need to hold the door for me. So when you have that, the two sides of it, it's like, well, if I hold the door, I might get yelled at because she might be whatever her pronoun is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to be political, but, it's how do you cross that bridge to make them understand the importance and the value, as I said, of opening the door for a lady or for being a gentleman.
Yeah.
Those things that we're trying to teach them, how do we do it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 60 from my age. I know you're younger, but how do you connect?
I think the advantage is the programs, right? The programs that are out there that are bringing these young men in for you to be able to speak with, for us to be able to speak with, right?
Mhm.
Because a kid off the street, I don't mean that literally, but kid off the street that's not in the program, they're not willing to hear. They're not as going to be as receptive.
Yes.
Because coming in, if you're going to bring these kids into this program, they have an understanding already that they're going to learn. They're here to learn something, right? Just like when they come in to have the orientation, you set the expectation. So this is the expectation. This is what you're going to learn, and this is who we are to you. We're here to support you. But if you don't know that, if you're not, I feel like that those programs are an advantage for us to connect with the younger men.
But how do you find that audience? I mean, how do you get the ones that really need it into the program?
Yeah,
that's a very good question. I want to keep this moving because I don't want to. I don't want to take this out the box, and I want to give my last representative the opportunity to speak.
That's fine.
I'm saving you for best for last.
That's wisdom.
Derek, what's your take?
My thoughts is that we have to kind of get back to the roots. I mean, it's a shame, but for the most part, our communities, as far as the kids coming up, as touched on, they're not learning business. They're not learning entrepreneurship. Trades, as you know, is not valued. So for myself, I want to make sure that my boys have a well-rounded knowledge of what's possible.
Okay. David, wrap us up.
All right. So I think the importance of being able to model fatherhood is important. Programs are great, but I think every Black man needs to understand our own responsibility as it comes to representing manhood from our perspective and fatherhood from our perspective. So, and I'll let John Lewis help me. So he said in a talk, he said, we must take care of our children, guide them, and show them how to walk in love, peace, and purposeful trouble. So that's John.
Purposeful trouble.
Okay, so I think it's important for every Black man to take on that kind of responsibility, particularly the purposeful trouble part, because of what goes on in our society. We still have these systemic issues that we still have to overcome.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, it would have been great if Dr. Martin Luther King's dream came true before I die, but that's probably not going to happen. But that doesn't mean that we stop pushing forward.
Right.
Okay, we don't stop pushing forward because the world is better now than it was before. There are opportunities that Black folk can step into now that we could not step into before. And we need to keep that going. But the way to keep it going is to make sure that fathers are taking a lead and that they're modeling what it means to be a man. Not just male bravado. I like it. I like what John Lewis highlights. guiding them, showing them how to walk in love, how to walk in peace, okay? And then how to walk in that purposeful control. I'm somewhat disturbed about the falling rate of votership, particularly in the Black community. You know, so this purposeful trouble thing, modeling that, you know, letting our boys know it's important. This is important too. Okay, you can't give it up, and so we need to do it all as a dad. But I think the other thing that we need to remember is that it needs to be done whether we're celebrating or not.
Yes.
Because for
Right.
most of
We don't,
women,
that's
for
not a
most
choice.
women, those
Right.
three,
That's not a
we
choice.
didn't go.
Right. It's not, it's what the work that needs to be done isn't optional.
Right.
It's not
That's
an option.
reflected in the fact we're talking about Father's Day, how we're not really celebrating. So it's not,
Right.
you know, that they're still on the same point.
Okay. Okay. Gentlemen, doing this. Thank you for attending this episode of Building Brilliance Book Club. You'll find us on buildingbrilliancebook.club. We're also on social media on Facebook, Building Brilliance Book Club. And you'll also find us on our website. And then you'll see this episode aired on Father's Day. So I'd appreciate it that once it comes out that you gentlemen will also share it to your social media, invite your friends and family to comment. Let's keep this this Fathers on Fire thing going, all right? Thank you. A wrap.